because since young, due to my family, my parents, the way they work, so I I always have like long separation from my parents time to time. And even now, right now, me and my parents don't live together in the same place. Yeah, so they will come to Singapore, and most of the time they stay in Taiwan. They have like we maybe we only see each other like twice or once every year. Yes. So at the same time, every time when I see them, I can feel the aging.
Melting Pot, a global podcast series hosted by Pyle, connects guests who have inspiring stories and reaches out to a multicultural audience over 52 countries. Guests are diverse, such as celebrities, entrepreneurs, travelers, and many more who've had a turning point in their lives and moved over to a holistic lifestyle. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, social media. Hi everyone. Today I am in conversation with Lavender Chang. Lavender is a visual artist and she's also a part of the cinema world. She has won numerous prestigious awards, and her works are showcased at multiple art galleries and museums, not just in Singapore, but all over the world. So thank you so much for joining me today, Lavender. You are just so multi-talented, and I'm really, really looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Lavender,
Mm.
let's just, I know you mentioned it to me earlier, but just for my viewers and listeners, a little background to you. And, you know, when you moved to Singapore and where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Taiwan, so my whole family migrated to Singapore. Then I stayed as a PR for many years, and one day I decided to apply the citizenship. So now I become a Singaporean.
Nice, that's good. So you've obviously adopted Singapore as your home country. So, Lavender, how did you actually get into photography? Is it something which started as a hobby, or is it something that you always wanted to do growing up?
Um, so what happened is like before I moved to Singapore, I focused on paintings since young. And if I never moved to Singapore, there's a high chance I was still doing art. Just don't know whether it's photography or not. Yeah, because previously I didn't really have the chance to know about this media. And then after I moved to Singapore, I told myself that other than painting, should I explore something else in the art? So I went to study visual communication in the Poly, and that's where I started to get in touch with this photography media, and I totally love it. So I continue this journey by pursuing my a degree in NTU School of Art Design and Media, and major in photography and digital imaging. And since I graduated from school, I have been doing both art and assignments at the same time.
Okay, so you've been doing art and photography both at the same time. Wow,
Yes.
that's amazing. And you've also added cinema. So
Yes,
that
yes.
must keep you really, really busy. I mean, I forgot to mention in the introduction that you know, your first, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's your first feature film that you've been behind the camera for. It's called Absent Mind and
Smile.
Absent Smile. Sorry, it's called Absent Smile, and
Mm.
it's going to be a part of the very prestigious Singapore International Film Festival, which my understanding is that it's in its 33rd year, and your film is being showcased. So that's very, very commendable. From, you know, from being a visual artist to a photographer to now being behind the lens in cinema. I think it's a very interesting journey, and a very fascinating journey as well. So, I before we talk about your film, I just wanted to, you know, just out of a learning, maybe even for my listeners who are interested in cinema and in photography. What is the similarity and what are the differences between being a photographer and actually doing cinema as a director of photography?
Okay, so unlike other filmmakers, they have like I would say I come in as a, how to say, I wouldn't say I'm the technical savvy on the filmmaking because I don't come from the film background. I initially started as doing photography art. So when at first I was like, oh, I really just doing more like my, oh, how to say in English? My gut feelings when I was doing the filmings for the first two films that I collaborated with John Clan. Yeah, so that in those two films, I work as a cinematographer. So he also very brave there to collaborate with me because both of us are artists. So we think alike in terms of the topics we want to explore and also the way we want to film. So if you want to ask me what is the difference, I would say obviously one is moving image. But when I was looking at when I was filming, at first beginning, I thought it would be very difficult because I wasn't sure how am I going to do this as a movie image since I'm so used to have a still image.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I started to try, I realized I enjoy the process and I'm good at it.
Yeah, of course you
Yes.
must be good
I
at
mean, in my own way, not that I can compare to everybody, but at least for myself, I love the way I love the result that I eventually come out. So I have to say, every time I got the opportunity to watch my film on the big screen, I really cherish the moments because it's so different when you see from the small screen and when you see from the big screen. You get to see every little details, and then sometimes I was amazed about, wow, like what was I thinking? Like I would be amazed by myself and then get inspired from my own work, which is the same thing that I did for my photography work. I always get inspired by my own work. And then I always cherish the opportunity that when every time I get to exhibit then. Yes.
So
And
what are
yes.
so what for your photography, what inspire, I know you mentioned that you get inspired by your own works, but
Yes.
what exactly, what kind of subject do you get fascinated with? I know a lot of your photography is even in Singapore in the museum, which I'm definitely going to go and have a look at. But I just want to understand from you, what is it that fascinates you that you say, okay, I need to get because I know it's both digital as well, right? So what is the subject matter that really intrigues you and is your main focus?
So most of the time when people talk about photography, the things that people will like think of like record the spontaneous moments, or then maybe like freeze these moments. But for me, instead of like one moment, I'm interested in a duration of time. Yes. So previously I did a TED talk, so I actually talk about this and use the similar way to enhance. I think it's a very good way to express. So just imagine time is a dancer, and then I will want to record its complete dance move into one single image. Yeah, so instead of like one moment, you are seeing is actually a duration of time. And then at the same time, I don't want to control. I will set the parameter of like how I want this project to be done, but I don't control what is going to happen within. And I do this process again and again for my different series. So when you look at my artworks, it's like different chapters from a storybook. They
Mm-hmm.
may not seem the first glance you won't be able to like, oh, they are linked to each other. But then when you understand the concept behind, then you realize I keep exploring the same thing, but using different series to explore. Yes.
Okay, now let's move on to this very interesting film called Absent Smile. And I have seen glimpses of it because obviously I wanted to get some idea before, I spoke with you. I noticed that, without giving away anything about the film, I would like, obviously, you to talk a little bit about what was behind making this film. That's one. And two, a more technical question. I noticed that there was, black and white as well as color in your different frames. So this is like a two-part question. One is, what is the idea behind Absent Smile? And the second is, what was the idea behind using this sort of concept of black and white and color?
First, the question is what's the topic that I'm exploring this one? Is that because since young, due to my family, my parents, the way they work, so I always have like long separation from my parents time to time. And even now, right now, me and my parents don't live together in the same place. Yeah, so they will come to Singapore, and most of the time they stay in Taiwan. They have like we maybe we only see each other like twice or once every year. Yes. So at the same time, every time when I see them, I can feel the aging. Yeah. Yes. So the aging and separation is something that I'm curious and also want to explore. So which is something that we are doing in this film. And at the same time, I also want to record the time that being absent from them is the duration of the time that is irretrievable.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been gone forever. Like no matter how hard we make up to it, but it's gone is gone. Yes. Yeah. But at the same time, it applies to many families, which it links to why there's some color footages in the video, because if you look at the color part, is actually from different families who are a lot of people in the modern days, they have to go to overseas, have long separation from their family, either due to study or due to work, which is something that a lot of families can relate to it. And those footages you saw was recorded 10 years ago from John Clan's Being Together series. Oh. So in this film, there's which shows the same thing happening in many families. At the same time, it also happens to John's own family.
And how do you feel about being showcased at the Singapore International Film Festival? Have any of your films with John been showcased previously?
Yes. So the previous two films we collaborated is Their Remaining Journey, which we show in Rotterdam Film Festival and also Thailand Film Festival. And quite a few, you have to go to my CV to see it, because we've been showing quite a few places, and also the National Gallery opening film. Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. But the Singapore International Film Festival, have you screened anything before?
No, this is the first time for me. Yes. And then for the second film, The Alert Unknown, we also show it with SIFA and also show with Rotterdam Film Festival and quite a few lah. Yes. So this is the third film, but it's my first time being a director. Yes. So I'm super excited because be able to like play in Singapore, it means a lot to me, especially I'm a Singaporean now, It really feels different, Yeah.
Yes. The sense of pride of being able to, and it's such a prestigious film festival.
Yes.
And it's so well recognized because it's It's had 33 editions already, and I understand that this time there are like 101 films, both shorts as well as feature, documentary, a whole range. And for you to be showcased there must be like a moment of pride. And also because it's your directorial debut, that's quite amazing. So, what is next for Lavender Chang?
For me, I'm currently working the next film.
Oh, nice.
Yes, but it could take a few years. Yeah, I mean, we are in the middle of like working it. Yes, but I can't reveal what is it about.
That's okay. We'll
Yes.
wait.
And for me, early next year I will be having exhibitions. Yes.
For your photography.
For my photography work. Yes.
Okay. So before we close this conversation, Lavender, any kind of tips because of your experience now, both as a photographer as well as a filmmaker? Anything that you would like, any advice, any tips, any gems that you would like to share with the viewers or the listeners who are aspiring to be photographers, or aspiring to be filmmakers, or director of photography? Any kind of message there for them?
I will just share how I feel too about based on my personal experience. I don't say it's an advice or something, because this is something that I truly believe, and I hope that other people can feel it. I feel like for me, I really want to do something that I'm interested and I love to explore. And then at the same time, I love the artwork, or I love the film that I made deeply. I think that's very important, because when you love the things that you are doing, you will do it better and better because you enjoy doing it so much. So I feel that that's something really important. And at the same time, when I look at some of my works that I done years back, 10 years back or something, I still love them. I won't feel like, oh, if I could have done something different, then it would be better. No, I won't change a thing at it. Yeah, so I feel that every time when I was doing something, I hope that people, when they create their own work, their own art, their own films, they can feel the same way. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it needs to come from within. And which is why earlier on in the conversation also you said that you get inspired by your own works.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting approach and a very positive way of looking at things, looking at your ability as well as your talent, and and the confidence that comes out of it, I think is phenomenal. It's been so nice talking to you. I know you were a bit worried about your English, but you are spot on. And I think it's what you've shared today is so meaningful and important. And I really wish you all the very best. And I'm sure you have a very, very successful career ahead of you. I look forward to I've already watched your film Absent Smile, but I'd love to be in the audience to see the reaction of the people when they actually see this. It touches you. It's so real and it's so beautifully done that I'm sure it's going to be appreciated by one and all. So thank you once again, Lavender.
Thank you. And I also want to add one more thing, that
yes.
I always get inspired by my audience too, regardless it's exhibitions or film audience, because every time when I talk to them or they tell me what they think after they viewing it, I feel that because every one of us have a different life path, so people notice things that sometimes that I don't see, and then they'll share with me. So I'm one of the artists that I will go to my own exhibitions, like during the weekend, I will spend time to talk to the people who come and see. So it's not just that I get inspired by my own work, but I deeply get inspired by the people who come and see, because I feel that's how the art will start a conversation.
Yeah. And there are so many different perspectives, right? People look at it, the same thing that you may have looked at in one way, that 10 different people will have different perspectives, 10 different perspectives, right?
Yes.
I think it's always a learning, and which is what, what you do and what I do, which is what is so exciting. Because I mean, even for me, this conversation with you, of course, my listeners and the viewers will have a big takeaway from it, but so do I. I mean, I've learned something new from you today, So I think it's true that we get inspired with what we do if we have that sense of confidence and passion. But it's equally true that we get inspired by others. And on that note, once again, thank you so much, Lavender. It was lovely, lovely, lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
The 33rd edition of the Singapore International Film Festival continues to drive a new agenda for change. A fabulous lineup of 101 films from over 50 countries will be screened from the 26th of November until the 4th of December 2022. For more information, visit their website www.sgiff.com. For more weekly conversations, do listen to Melting Pot on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube and on Instagram at Podcast Melting Pot. So until the next episode, this is Payal signing off.